Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Better? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Welcome to the special meeting of the Putnam County Legislature, called by the clerk at the request of the chairwoman. April 28th, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Yonke, will you please lead us?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the legislative prayer.
We seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
District 1, Legislator Montgomery. District 2, Legislator Gouldman.
Present.
District 3, Legislator Avenizio.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Russo.
Present.
District 5, Legislator Elner.
Here.
District 6, Legislator Yonke.
Present.
District 7, Legislator Birmingham.
Here.
District 9, Legislator Crowley.
Present.
District 8, Chairwoman Sage.
Agenda. I'm sorry, I have the wrong agenda in front of me. Okay.
Do you need another?
If you have one, otherwise Legislator Elmer.
Yep, no, let me grab one.
Here's the second one. Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 4.
Chairwoman, can I be recognized to make a motion, please?
We haven't even begun
I
that.
know. I'd like to make a motion to add public comment section to all agenda items after debate. before
Legislator
voting.
Crowley, rest assured, I will be adding public
Allowing-
comment at the end.
Can I finish my motion, please?
I will be allowing
Can
public
I
comment.
please
Oh.
finish my motion? I appreciate it, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to add public comment section to the agenda items after debate but before voting, allowing each member of the public who wishes to speak once for a period of 3 minutes.
Thank you. And for the record, I will be, we have
Second.
rule
I'll
number.
second that.
So there's a motion on the table.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to allow public comment as per Rule 33 for our legislative manual. So just now that we have that out of the way,
Thank you, Chair.
appreciate that. We'll move on to agenda item number 4, which is to enter into the book of proceedings the veto of resolution number 108 of 2025 for Putnam County's request for the county sales tax rate to be established at a rate of 3.75% for December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028.
I'll make a motion to enter it.
I don't believe that's necessary.
Oh, no? Okay.
Just
Great.
entering it into the book of proceedings. Okay. Moving on to agenda number 5 is the reconsideration of the vetoed resolution 108 of 2025, Putnam County's request for the Putnam County sales tax to be established at a rate of 3.75% for the period of December 1st, 2025 through December 30th, 2028. Is there a motion to reconsider?
I'll make the motion to reconsider the resolution that was vetoed.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote to
Can
reconsider.
we have
the-
discussion before we vote?
Excuse me?
Maybe we have discussion before we vote?
We can. Legislator Crowley.
So I reached out this week to both our audit company and to our bonds company, and we received an email back. Unfortunately, the auditors will not be able to get back to us until Monday, but I did want to read into record what they responded with. Dear members of the Putnam County Legislature, you have asked for our review as a bond counsel to the Putnam County on the proposal to reduce the county sales tax and use the tax rate from the present 4% rate to a rate of 3.75. First, we note that from a legal standpoint, a reduction in the county sales and use tax rate will have no impact on the county's statutory authority to issue bonds and notes to finance capital projects. We do note, however, the sales and use tax revenue is a significant revenue stream for the county. In 2024, the county collected approximately $86 million in sales and use sales or use tax revenue, and in the county's 2025 budget, sales and tax and use tax revenue is budgeted at $79 million. Based on estimates provided by the county, the sales and the use tax rate has been 3.75 in 2024, and the county would have collected only $81 million in sales and use tax revenue, a reduction of approximately $5 million over actual 2024 collections. If the sales and use tax rate is reduced in 2025, the county estimates that it will only collect $74 million in sales and use tax revenues, a reduction of approximately $5 million over budgeted revenues. Much of the county budget is devoted to paying for New York State's mandates providing essential services to county residents and fulfilling its contractual obligations to employees. Changing the sales and the use tax rate and therefore lowering county revenues could exacerbate financial pressures, making it challenging for the county to meet its obligations without either increasing real property taxes or cutting essential services. Economic factors outside of the county control, such as inflation, interest rates, the impact of tariffs and retail sales, volatility also can negatively impact sales and use tax collections. Given these uncertainties, reducing the sales tax and use tax rate could leave the county vulnerable to budget deficits should the county and or the state experience an economic downturn. Furthermore, as a matter of best practice, a municipality should not overly rely on reserves to support its annual operating expenses such as salary and fringe benefit associated with collective bargaining agreements. We understand that the county's finance department has shared its view that the compounding effects of these expenses adds up to tens of millions of dollars in new costs over the course of the next 4 fiscal years beyond what was budgeted for the fiscal year 2025. Any action would require the county to deplete its reserves by not ensuring adequate revenue sources exist to support new expenditures approved by the county legislature and executive would not be consistent with best practices and is not advisable. Moody's Investor Service has rated the county's bond indebtedness AA1. An AA1 rating from Moody's means that the issuer has very strong creditworthiness and a very low risk of default, just a few notches below the highest possible rating. In determining a bond rating, Moody's considers an issuer's tax base, financial stability, and fiscal management, and its debt and reserve levels. The higher the rating, the lower the county's borrowing costs when issuing bonds to finance county capital projects. The county traditionally has maintained high levels of reserve and a low amount of outstanding debt. Therefore, any material change in the county's revenue or its financial practices could have a negative impact on its bond rating and increase its cost of debt. We also note that once sales and use tax rate is reduced, increasing it again requires the approval of the governor and the state legislature, an uncertain and potentially lengthy process. Additionally, implementing tax rate changes involves administrative complexities, including updating systems, informing businesses and consumers. In summary, while reducing the county sales and use tax rate may offer short-term benefits to residents and businesses, the potential long-term risks, including financial strain, rating impacts, and legislative hurdles, make this a complex policy decision for the county. And that was from Cornelia Cahill, who we deal with Bond Counsel. With that being said, we also have several letters here, and because you're going to let them speak, I will let them read it themselves, but there are 5 letters from supervisors and towns that I would like to reflect upon and just iterate that I think that we are making a foolish decision not to work with a compromise here for the people that live here, the towns, and the fiscal impact that it will have if we don't go for a compromise. And I appreciate the time that you've allotted me.
Any other legislator like to comment on the number 5 of the consideration of the veto resolution? Legislator Goldman.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Why would any legislator support this reduction in the sales tax rate? If you do, you're not really listening to the people of Putnam County. As we all know, a recent survey of residents shows 72% of respondents said that they want to lower property taxes. 19% of the respondents said they would like a portion of that sales taxes to go towards the distribution within the 6 towns we have in Putnam County. Every town supervisor and every mayor in Putnam County has signed a letter for an historic sales tax compromise, which we all know about, and it would give a massive property tax cut, and it will be able to share sales tax with the residents. Every town and village, except for one, did a resolution supporting this sales tax compromise. In addition, there are several uncertainties, which I've mentioned many times before. We have recently settled 4 union contracts. How much will these actually cost in the next few years? We don't know because we don't know what they, what's actually gonna be. Commissioner recently said that it's gonna cost about $2 million next year. How much will the Putnam County employee health insurance be over the next few years? We have no idea because increases in insurance, we know it's gonna go up, but we don't know what it's gonna be. But we do know that last year to this year, it went up 878,337. That's a lot of money. Next year it might be $1 million, it might be more than $1 million, but we know it's gonna go up. How much will the Putnam County Employee Insurance Review Committee cost? When they make their recommendation, we have no idea, because they haven't made a recommendation yet. There are economic factors outside of Putnam County which we have no control over. Inflation, interest rates, the impact of tariffs on sales and how we're going to collect sales tax. We also know that the federal government is making cuts. I have a letter here from the Secretary of Transportation that basically says the United States Department of Transportation, first of all, I'm sorry, it's dated April 24th today. The United States Department of Transportation distributes substantial financial assistance to thousands of projects, programs, and activities operated throughout the country, including Putnam County. Basically, they said if the governor doesn't change congestion pricing by May 21st, we're going to lose that money, not just Putnam County, but everyone throughout the state. That's a lot of money right there. The projected shortfall in New York State is looking at $6.2 billion as a whole in 2027 and $7.1 billion gap in 2028. They have not even come up with a budget this year, and we don't know how that's going to be. It's already 22, 23 days past due. If you don't think Putnam County is going to be affected and be cut, I don't know what you're thinking about, but we will be. There are a lot of unanswered questions here. Given these uncertain situations, reducing the sales tax could have the county in a very vulnerable budget situation. The Commissioner of Finance has said this is not fiscally responsible. A letter that was just written, said by let's say the Crawley from, thank you. Said our bond counsel has said that any action that could require the county to deplete its resources by not ensuring adequate revenue sources would not be consistent with best practices and not be advisable. Property taxes are paid by property owners, not just by property owners. Sales taxes are paid by non-residents and residents. So a portion of that sales tax is paid by non-residents, not the residents that live here. I would prefer to lower our property taxes and give some money back to the counties, back to the towns, so I'll be voting no on this situation.
Anyone else who'd like to speak on reconsideration of the veto? Legislator Jackie.
Yes, I'd like to basically answer Legislator Goldman's question, why would anyone vote for this? The reason is we are holding an obscene amount of money in our fund balance. This is taxpayer money, and we're going to collect more and more money through the sales tax collection next year. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should be taking money from taxpayers when we don't need it. We have a surplus. I keep hearing sales tax compromise. This is not sales tax. This is a surplus of fund balance. In 2017, when I first voted for the extension, the unassigned fund balance was $15.8 million. It's now almost 6 times that number. It's $90 million. Okay? The total fund balance in 2017 was $39.7 million. We're now at $100 million over that number. Sales tax is collected on every phone bill, gasoline purchase, electric bill, restaurant bill, retail purchases, car purchases, etc. We've had a dramatic increase in sales tax revenue due to the Wayfair litigation settlement, but also due to massive inflation over the last few years. that's tantamount to double taxation. Your cost of goods and services have gone up, so the taxes on those have gone up. I'm voting for 0.75 because we're not giving, by the way, there was some misinformation that we were giving the money back to the state somehow. There was a councilman in Carmel who said we're giving money back to the state. That's wrong. I think it's time we take a step in the right direction and allow our taxpayers to keep the money. All right, it's their money, they put it there, and I think we need to give them the relief. And there's no reason why we can't do the lowering of the sales tax and a property tax reduction, keeping in mind that the greatest beneficiaries of property tax reduction are, number one, the city of New York. We have the utility companies, NYSEG, Central Hudson, even Con Edison is in the top 20 of property tax payers in Putnam County. Okay, the little guy isn't going to get the money when it comes to a property tax reduction. Our property taxes are so light when you compare them to the school taxes. There's not going to be much like we've heard it thrown around that the sales tax reduction is not going to be much of an impact. No, but we're taking a step in the right direction, and there's no reason to continue accumulating money in our fund balance. Thank you.
Someone who hasn't spoken yet, any other legislator who wants to speak, who hasn't had the opportunity? Legislator Russo.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Our jobs as legislators are to be representatives of the people who elected us to make sound, thoughtful decisions. Ones that are fiscally responsible and grounded in long-term stability for Putnam County. The resolution to reduce our county's sales tax from 4% to 3.75%, while it's well-intentioned, would result in a loss of approximately $5.3 million in revenue. That's not a figure that we could brush aside without serious consequences. If we lose that revenue, we will be inevitably forced to increase our reliance on property taxes. That's a step backwards, not forwards. The legislature committed to funding tens of millions of dollars in increased expenditures over the next 5 years. We cannot be spending down the county's savings account on things like capital projects, union contracts, health insurance, and expect to continue to have a large fund balance. Others suggested maintaining the fund balance is gluttony. Such a perspective fails to acknowledge that the cost of government operating expenditures has increased dramatically. I've heard multiple town highway superintendents and our own DPW representatives talk at length about how over the past 6 years, the cost of materials and equipment has increased by 3 or 4 times. Sounds to me like our fund balance is appropriately increased with these outrageous prices. Over the past couple of years prior to my taking office, this body had made meaningful progress in easing the property tax burden to our residents, bringing it to its lowest rate in nearly 2 decades. This has been possible because of a strong economy and our competitive sales tax rate that allows us to fund essential services without overburdening homeowners. We now have a historic opportunity before us, a compromise supported unanimously by every town supervisor, village mayor in this county. For the first time, local government will receive a share of county sales tax revenue, funds that could be used to fix roads, repair sidewalks, improve drainage systems, and address real everyday infrastructure needs that directly affect our residents. This is not just a compromise, it's strategic, forward-thinking shift that keeps decision-making closer to the people while preserving our ability to cut property taxes even further. To override this veto would be to ignore the voices of our local leaders, to undercut smart and balanced approach to tax relief, and risk shifting more of the burden back onto property owners. That's why I will not be voting to override the county executive's veto. I support the path forward that puts our residents first, that funds our communities fairly, and delivers real tax relief where it matters most. Thank you, Chairwoman.
vote to adjourn.
Yes, good evening. I'll be voting to override, and I think the people in this room deserve to know the reason why. I think honest and honorable people can disagree on matters of policy. As my fellow legislator Paul Yankee pointed out, we're sitting on top of, as county taxpayers, the largest budget to fund balance ratio, or I should say fund balance to budget ratio we've ever had. Undesignated fund balance, or I should say non-restricted fund balance, is about $134 million out of a $205 million budget. Those are two very big numbers. Nobody doubts that. Nobody's debating that. I think there's room to make a meaningful but not significant reduction in our sales tax. I represent District 7, which has some of the poorest census tracts out of any census tracts in this county. Sales tax by its very nature is the most regressive of taxes. It falls upon those people who can least afford it. Some of us are fortunate that perhaps it doesn't affect us as much as others. But when I vote on something like this, I think about all the people, and including those that are affected by this the most, whether it's somebody going to a local grocery store and not having enough pennies to pay for a certain product they want. That matters, and this might make a difference for them, all the way up to somebody buying an $80,000 Tahoe. That's going to make significant savings for them as well. So I think we have to strike a balance. I don't believe giving a 0.25% sales tax back is an obscene amount. It is roughly $5 million, again, not an insignificant amount of money. But when we're looking at a fund balance of over 134 of non-restricted monies, I think we can give some of that back, particularly when, and I agree with this, when our county executive in his State of the County address is talking about giving the largest real property tax cut that we've ever seen coming up in the 26 budget. I've said this many times before, I'm going to be his strongest advocate and strongest ally in that, because I do believe, despite what Bill and what Erin and what Laura are saying, and all good points they've made, I'm not debating the points, there is uncertainty about the state budget. There is uncertainty about our health insurance payments for our employees. There is uncertainty about the unfunded mandates that are coming down the road. There is uncertainty about the state budget, which, as Bill pointed out, is over 3 weeks late. So there's a lot of questions, but I think we can weather those questions. At the end of this legislative term, it'll be about 6 months shy of the 40th anniversary of my entering county government, whether in appointed or elected office. And over those years, I've seen a lot of ups and downs. We survived the recession of 1991 and 92. Of course, we all remember 2007 and 2008. The county executive at the time and the county legislature at both of those times made some hard choices. And who knows if we're going to be facing that again this time. I mean, we hear about tariffs, we hear about inflation, we hear about uncertainty in government programs, whether state funding will be, or federal funding will continue to the state. Yeah, those are all things to think about, but I view this 0.25% decrease as more than just symbolic. I view it as meaningful for those who can really use it. And when we're, on the one hand, being told we're going to have a large real property tax decrease, which I'm in favor of, when I hear that on the one hand, but then I hear on the other hand that there's too much doubt as to the economic forecast, I feel a little whipsawed, quite frankly. Which is it? Or can we have a large real property tax decrease? I hope so, and I'm right there with Kevin if it does that. Or do we, run away from even a modest tax decrease in our sales tax? So, that's why I'm going to vote to override the veto. I don't think the votes are there. I think that's evident. But I think it's important that the people who voted for me know where I stand. And I am glad, Madam Chair, that we're going to be having public comment tonight, even though this is a full board meeting. I want to hear from people who disagree with me. I respect people who have differences of opinion from me. And believe it or not, sometimes I learn from that. Hopefully, that those on the other side of this argument feel the same way about those comments and positions of others. So that's a little bit behind my thoughts on this, and barring any other legislator wanting to speak, I would be interested in hearing what the public has to say. Thank you.
The new legislator, Legislator Elmer.
I don't like the fact that people are not treating a sales tax reduction and a property tax reduction as mutually exclusive events. You can do both. And if a property tax reduction comes before me, I will cast a vote for it. There's no doubt about that. But the other thing we're not even addressing is county government spending out of control? We have the largest budget in the history of Putnam County. And to the best of my recollection, $11 million of that increase was one-time capital projects. So those one-time expenditures were twice what the projected reduction in revenue will be. I've said it all along, I'm a private sector guy. Rein in spending. And the other thing is, this is not county money. This is residents, these are constituents' money. Any little bit helps. When I look at my tax bill, my county tax bill is maybe 12% of what my school district bill is. My water district bill is 80% of what the county's bill is. So who's doing a better job in managing the store? Us? Okay. I'm gonna vote to override this veto, and I agree with my colleague Legislator Birmingham that it's not gonna pass. But there's some real questions here, and I'm seeing only one side. I'm seeing, hey, it has to be this way, this way, this way. This legislature has lost the ability to agree to disagree. It is my way or the highway, and I'll tell you, that does nothing but create problems.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, as Legislator Birmingham said, he's gonna vote to override the veto, and he owes it to his constituents to tell them why. And again, it's not gonna pass, but I'll just state the reasons I would vote to override. For one thing, when Legislator Goldman was talking about, we don't know what capital projects are gonna continue, how it's going to increase. We don't know how insurance is going to increase. We don't know what our contracts are going to do, how they're going to increase. But those aren't undesignated funds. Those are in our fund balance. Those are designated amounts that are budgeted each year to account for those unknowns. So that's not even included in this $90 million that we're talking about, our $90 million undesignated fund balance that we have. This $90 million in our checking account, in our bank account, our savings account, whatever you want to call it, is taxpayer money. We're not stopping sales tax from happening. We're just slowing down the funnel from the public's pocketbook, allowing them to buy pizza if they want, or the individual probably knows better how to spend their money than the government does. I would also agree that the minimal 0.75%, maybe not mean much to anybody else, but to the person who's got to pull it out of their pocketbook, it might mean something. And again, this is government, this is not government money, this is the people's money. We're talking about undesignated fund balance of $90 million, so we're not depleting it, we're slowing it, we're keeping it in the pockets. Anyone else?
Thank you, Madam
Chair
Chair.
Crowley.
I appreciate.
Oh, I'm sorry,
everybody's
Legislator, I didn't use you, you
input.
didn't have the opportunity to speak yet,
Right.
I'm sorry, please.
I'll give, no, Legislator, I'm just.
Okay, no, I just want to say something quick. There are two misconceptions out there, and Legislator Yonke touched on one of them. And if people looked on Facebook, actually I got a couple of phone calls, and people were saying that we're giving back $5 million a year to the state. It's like, they said, what are you doing? You're mailing checks, you're sending $5 million back. That is fake news, okay, as we know. The other thing is that what we're talking about tonight really does nothing to do with sharing the sales tax with the municipalities. Okay, it's apples to oranges, so I just wanted to make that clear.
Legislator Crowley.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I do have concerns about this. Our auditors came in, they haven't been able to respond to us. They haven't come to us and given us a fiscal report yet on what is designated as of this year and undesignated, okay? We don't have that. We are looking at towns, we, as it's been said by almost everybody on this legislature tonight, we are elected by the people, for the people, to do what they ask. There was a poll, and I know the poll might have been said that it wasn't accurate or whatever, but nobody else in this room took the time to do it. Okay, so let's say there was a poll, and people did say they wanted it given back in spending, because what happens is the towns then have to raise their taxes to pay for their infrastructure. And in districts like Legislator Elner and Legislator Adonisio, you guys are having a hard time right now bringing, you know, the tax issue that happened and the 5-year span, and some people are getting hit with very high property taxes because they weren't made whole years ago. So with that being said, the compromise to raise the sales tax to 4%, which historically every legislator has always voted for. And Paul, when you ran for supervisor, actually you championed for it, voted in favor of sharing sales tax revenue with towns. You know, they've spoken, the people have spoken, they have told us what they want. We're elected to hear them and to be their voice. And we have the towns here, we have the people here, that we have the highest one of the highest tax mill rates around. And the proposal or the compromise to raise the sales tax at 4% and share 1.9 with the towns and villages in Putnam County can provide several benefits, especially in strengthening the town's ability to improve infrastructure without directly raising property taxes. Some reasons why it's a good approach is improved infrastructure. I mean, we have highway superintendents here. Richie Otherman talked about to pave 1 mile, it costs $150,000 to pave 1 mile now. Okay, and without CHIPS funding, which we may not be getting, that's gonna be problematic. How many roads do we own in Putnam County that we'll be responsible for, let alone the towns that are responsible for? Look at the conditions of the roads right now, okay? Financial sustainability and fiscal responsibility. This new sales tax system would provide a stable and sustainable revenue stream for the towns, which is crucial for maintaining long-term financial health. The sales tax rate is lowered. These towns will lose critical funding that they need, which could lead to a budget shortfall or force the local government to raise property taxes in the future to make up the difference. 70% of resident support. The polls showing over 70% of residents are in favor of the proposal. It's clear that the community supports this solution. Residents like to see benefits of improved infrastructure without a rise in property taxes, which can be burdensome, especially for some homeowners on fixed incomes. Revenue sharing for equal distribution. The proposed system sharing 1.9 of the sales tax with towns and villages ensures that the revenue generated is distributed equally. This allows smaller towns and villages, which may not have a large tax base, to benefit from revenue, helping to address disparities in resources between different areas and towns and county. It's a minimal impact on the taxpayers by adjusting the sales tax instead of the property taxes. The financial burden on landowners is minimized. Sales taxes are generally considered less burdensome for homeowners because they're spread across all consumers, including visitors to the county. This makes the tax system more inclusive and ensures that everyone who benefits from the services provided by the county contributes fairly. It encourages local economic activity. Raising the sales tax slightly and keeping it within the county can encourage local economic activity. Visitors and non-residents contribute to the funding, spreading the tax burden more fairly and ensuring that the county's infrastructure and services can support both residents and visitors. It avoids cuts to essential services. If the sales tax were lowered, there could be a need for cuts in essential services or delays in infrastructure projects. We have many different, I mean, the sheriff is here. He has the CRT team that he works with Sarah Servadio. I believe those are grant funded, and I believe that grant has stopped now. So those would either be positions that would need to be cut that are necessary in our community because we don't have a lot of mental health, and they have been a huge resource. Those would be things that would be cut. A strong, well-maintained infrastructure is crucial for attracting new business, residents, investment to Putnam County, ensuring long-term prosperity. In summary, the proposed increase in the sales tax of 4% with the distribution, the compromise, with that compromise, which almost everybody has championed for, to the towns and villages offers a balanced approach that maintains low property taxes while ensuring critical investments in infrastructure. This will help keep Putnam County financially responsible, support the needs of the community, and address the desires of over 70% of residents who want to improve the county without raising property taxes. So I please help you hear me that I will be voting no on this tonight. I hope that you all consider that we are elected for the people, by the people. They are here, they have spoken, they deserve what they elected.
I heard my name come up. If share of the growth is what you're referring to, I certainly did support it. We shared with the municipalities, we shared ARPA funding with the municipalities. I was 100% behind
Yeah,
that.
voted in favor of sharing sales tax revenue with towns is what you specified.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, so I just
I'm
wanted
not
to.
saying, wait, I'm talking about how much sales tax we're collecting. I have not said one word about sharing sales tax with the municipalities or not sharing sales tax.
I was just
Right.
commenting on it.
But I want to get into this survey a little bit. The county executive conducted a survey. It was probably the most unscientific survey I've ever seen. I voted personally, I voted 5 times waiting for it to finally stop me. So I can't imagine how or who was doing all the voting to push in the direction that the county executive wanted to conclude, which was, you have to explain to me how vetoing a sales tax cut is tax relief. Somebody, please, somebody after the meeting, explain to me how he vetoed a sales tax cut, but that's tax relief. Okay, all I'm worried about is we have too much money of the taxpayers' dollars, and we need to stop taking their money. That's my bottom line.
We'll take it back anytime, that's what we're here for. We've got too much.
Legislator
No, it just,
Anastasio.
thank you. Yeah, like I said, we are discussing one thing this evening, okay? But in reference to Legislator Crowley, you did say is, yes, it's very expensive to pave. The paving costs $100,000.
I believe it's $1 million.
Millions.
$1
Millions.
million
A
per
mile,
What-
150,000 a mile.
What I'm saying, though, is that what was brought forward by the county executive is 1/9 of 1% of the revenue, okay? Each municipality would possibly get $50,000 in local tax relief.
No,
That's
Minimum.
minimum. Okay, well,
It's
what's,
better than nothing we got right
well,
now.
but we're not so tonight we weren't talking about this, and like Legislator Yonke said, we're not opposed to
But
that.
historically,
You
you've
know,
all
so-
voted for it every single year.
Madam Chair, can I just make a point of order? Guys, I do want to hear what you have to say, please, believe me when I say that. We just want to make sure that we conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. No screaming, no yelling. I want to hear what you have to say, but.
All right, pardon us, you can understand our frustration. Pardon us.
I can.
Legislator Anastasio, do you want to continue?
No, I'm
And
not
also
talking.
to my colleagues, when one person's talking, let's give that person consideration to talk. And our chairman's been generous with all of us to speak, so she's not going to shut us down. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other legislator wishing to speak?
Let the public speak and then we'll speak after.
This is regarding the reconsideration of a veto
Yes.
resolution.
And there was,
I think we could speak at the end.
there was a motion, the motion that passed unanimously was to have discussion and then let the public, I can read it back
After
to you. Nope, before the vote. It was, I made a motion to add
For
public
each
comment
item, okay.
for each item after debate, but before voting,
I
allowing
believe
each
you.
member of the public who wishes to speak once for a period of 3 minutes, and everybody voted unanimously for that.
Okay, so would the public like to speak? Anyone from the public? This is regarding the reconsideration of the veto, veto the, oh, please come up and state your name and the town which you reside in, thank you.
Everybody knows
Do we have a
Richie.
sign-up sheet? Thank you.
Everybody knows Richie.
I put on my Canadian tuxedo tonight. I'd like to just briefly speak from the trenches. And I know I spoke, Supervisor McClassen and I spoke, and I think, Jamie, we were talking about $240,000 based on population.
About 220.
All right, since COVID in 2020, the cost of paving a mile of road went up $50,000. The cost of highway infrastructure went up 46%. The town of Kent, we don't have a tax base. We're 70% New York City watershed. We can't build a birdhouse without, and Greg, you've been working trying to get a sweeper for me. The DEC and the DEP, they keep throwing regulations on us without any money. This $240,000 will give me, I'll be able to pave almost 4 miles of road. Kent has 216 miles of road. I mean, I'm doing about 5 miles a year, so do the math. So maybe every 50 years your road gets paved. And that's not even equipment. I bought in 2020, I bought a brand new Dodge 5500, stainless steel body, sander with a plow, $78,000. That same truck right now is $128,000, $50,000 more. This money would mean a lot to us. It would mean a lot in paving. In Kent, we have delis and gun stores and lingerie shops and liquor stores. I mean, granted, those are the essential things we need, but we don't have a town center. We have no reason, we have no way to collect taxes. We have no, and this would mean a real lot to us. And we are a very small county. Probably another 3 or 4 marriages, everyone in this room is going to be related to each other. So I think you should just share it with us and give it to us. And I wish you wouldn't say how you're going to vote before the public speaks. And Dan, you and I went through this before. I'd ask you at least just to table it and hear what we have to say. But I had a couple more things to say with this. I get all worked up with this. But I'm asking you to please to share it with us. It's just a game of hungry hippos. You're going to smash this hippo on the head, you're going to reduce the taxes, and it's going to pop up in everybody's town. And it's all going to come out of their pocket anyway. So we have it there. It's constant. I voted for it when I sat in your seat. Just leave it alone. Just let it be and share it with your towns and villages. We need the money. And you guys are paying the same taxes in your separate towns and villages. So your taxes are going to go up. So I ask you, please flip your vote. This is a really good thing for all of us. We have a good bipartisan group of people here tonight, both political parties, all the towns and villages, and that's how I feel. Thank you.
And again, and again, I'm not going to stop you from speaking, but I do want to say that I don't think these items are mutually exclusive. I think sharing the sales tax is a totally different issue, and that resolution will come before us, and we can all comment on that resolution at the time. We are talking about the reconsideration of the vetoed resolution for the 3.75%. The sharing is a different resolution that we will have, and we'll also have a discussion on that on Monday.
Through the chair, we did discuss it though, so that allows the public to talk about it.
It's agenda items, but.
Right, but we did discuss it as a body, so it came up and they're allowed to talk on it and comment on it.
Conrad?
It's agenda items, but I, as chair, will of course allow you to speak. I'm just making that point.
John Van Tassel, Supervisor
Yep.
of the Town of Phillipstown. So thank you all for allowing us to speak. And I applaud the 4 of you, Nancy's missing this evening, for supporting leaving it at 4% and the possibility of sharing it with us. The 5 of you that voted in opposition to it keep reminding us that you have this enormous fund balance and it should go back to the public. We have an historic opportunity, the one Democrat and the rest of the supervisors that are Republican. We have a formula in place, along with our county legislator, to in fact do that, to share that. And the population thing doesn't work well for the town of Phillipstown, but we're looking at probably about $175,000. For my budget, that's enormous. That's an enormous bonus for us, especially if we can, I know it's not an in stone number, but if we can budget and bond and use a portion of that to bond stuff going forward. You were very generous, you helped me. We had a project, an unforeseen project, a water issue in the town of Phillipstown. You guys were generous and you supported it. I am asking you to do the same thing here. You have an opportunity, you have a formula in place. It's historic that all of the supervisors, the mayors, the county executive, and 4 of the legislators are supporting keeping the sales tax at 4% and sharing 1/9 as you described. Mr. Birmingham, I remember you said at the last meeting, it was April 1, that you could leave it at 3.75% and still share it with the towns.
I don't believe I said that.
You did. I have a memory like an elephant. I got ears and a memory like an elephant. So you did. You said that. And then I really took exception to the fact that you said you would have to recuse yourself whether they would share or not. So you made that statement, and I think you painted the rest of your legislature into a corner to have to share. And you said yourself that you could not vote. So you said you like when people disagree with you. I'm disagreeing with your process there. So. And you did say it, if we could go to the tape, you said that we could go to 3.75 and still have the ability to share it. So I just wanted to get that point out. So I encourage the rest of you to keep it at 4%, and please consider sharing the sales tax with the towns. We have shovel-ready projects that we cannot afford to do, and this could enable us to do it. So, thank you.
Anyone else on agenda item number 5, reconsideration of the veto resolution?
Thanks. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Nabby from the town of Putnam Valley. I have to read it off, but I actually didn't know if there was gonna be public comment, so I actually printed it up and I sent it out, so hopefully it'll be part of the public record. Before I read this, I just wanna ask you a few things. I know you're talking about the reconsideration, you're saying that the sharing of the sales tax has nothing to do with the reconsideration. However, the way I understand it is that the veto that the 9 of us have supported was with the veto, the town and villages would get a share of it. With that veto, it's vetoed with going to the 4% with the shares of the point of 1/9 going to the towns and villages. I know you're shaking your head, but
Well,
it's
that's
part of
not
the
what we
minutes.
That's not what we have.
That's not what we have
in
before us.
Legislative council, that is
Okay, but that's part of
absolutely
the
correct.
resolutions that you all got a copy of, that all of us have sent over to you as well. That we supported the veto with the sharing of the sales tax to the towns and villages. You also mentioned that it's about $1 million to pave the road. That $1 million is coming from our property taxes that we don't have the money for. You mentioned the water issues that you have. That's coming from the property taxes. You really want to lower the property taxes, sharing this sales tax revenue that you have with the towns and villages by keeping it at 4%, that's how you do it. You're gonna take the money that comes in from our residents and from outside residences, and then you're gonna share that income, that extra sales tax. And as a bond council, you understand that lowering your sales tax without additional funding, filling up your fund balance, could harm your rating for the county. So I don't understand that logic. Why would you want to harm your perfect rating by doing such a thing? Now, if you bear with me, I'm just going to read what I wrote to you go on, okay? We stand on behalf of the town of Putnam Valley. I actually am with my entire board, so thank you all for joining me. In support of a fair and proven solution, maintain the current sales tax rate and return a portion of that revenue to local governments like ours. Putnam Valley does not have a large reserve or deep pockets. We rely mostly or entirely on property taxes, and that burden falls squarely on our residents. Without this funding, the critical projects like fixing our roads, improving our parks, protecting our lakes, and supporting our seniors simply can't happen, or they will come with a heavy cost to our taxpayers. We're not asking for something new or untested. In 2022, when sales tax was shared, it worked. We saw real results in our communities, and we know how to put those funds to work again because we know our towns best. This proposal that's moved forward with the sharing of the sales tax to the towns and villages and leaving it at 4% brings fairness, ensures that the money raised in our communities stays in our communities and used directly to benefit the people who live here. Importantly, most legislators here today have previously supported both property tax relief and sales tax revenue sharing. With this proposal, you get exactly what you've always backed, and now you have the full support of all 9 elected town and village leaders with our communities standing behind us. We urge you to follow through, pass the proposal in front of you, signed and supported by every town supervisor and village mayor in Putnam County. Stand with your town, support real, local tax relief. Let's build a stronger, more affordable future for Putnam County together. Thank you very much for the time.
Anyone else? You know the drill.
I
State
know
your
the
name and the
drill.
town in which you reside.
And do this for
You're welcome.
All right. So obviously, I am not in any county government for a multitude of reasons. So I want to give it a perspective more from just a citizen paying and a couple of things that I could not stay for on the April 1st meeting. We keep making the comments, I keep hearing, you know, this is going to save a substantial, or it's going to save money to the people in Putnam County, which, of course, any reduction is going to save some. Yes, I would fully admit I've been the one out there the most on Facebook and social media saying that this is only going to save everybody a quarter of a penny. as my farm math managed to math out a little bit better, Mr. Elmer. But I think that in consideration of that, right, is part to what Jackie just said, is that if we lower it now, we have to find another source of income to it. At some point, you're gonna cross the opposite way, from the bond letter that I read earlier, from the bond council, that there's going to be more of an uphill battle to go back up if we decided to, or the legislature at the time decides to do so. So, doesn't make much sense to me to go fight an uphill battle when there's many people from the community that are asking you to leave it the same. I've heard a couple different numbers out there. Mr. Yonke said that there was over 100 million. Mr. Birmingham said 143. Legislature, you said that there was 90 million. I don't know what the right number is. Either way, it's way more than I have in my bank account. And what I can tell you is that if you're, and comments were made tonight, that we need to curtail spending, well, I don't know that we're overspending if we have an excess. I'd be more concerned if that excess was smaller. But if there's an excess, is there ways to use that money? Which I don't hear that in any of the comments. So, you know, we're all asking you to keep it the same, whether it's from the town or just from a lowly citizen here. Keep it the same so that way we don't have to worry about money later on. Find ways to use that money. I'd rather you have my money and spend it. But what I'm hearing is that we're not doing that. So keep it at the 4% and find things that the county can spend it on with the towns. Maybe there's a better way to share a little bit more. I don't know. But Mr. Birmingham, you made the comment about buying an $80,000 Tahoe.
I didn't, wasn't
No, I'm just saying, no. Listen, I can't afford it either, so, but here's the thing, if there's people out there going and looking at spending $80,000 on a Tahoe and can afford it, I don't think they're worried about the $200 you're gonna save them. I already did the math, please feel free to check it.
I'll trust you.
But it's $200. And I hate to say, but that $200 is not gonna stop them from spending the $80,000. So, the comments you've made, and the comment that was made earlier about you guys sharing where you're gonna vote ahead of time, I mean, I've stood up in front of you guys many a times over the last year on a lot more than I ever planned to stand up in front of you on. And you keep sharing this ahead of time, which means I have no way to change your mind. You don't really seem to care. So, you know, you tell me no, you're gonna vote no, I get up here, I can make mathematical fixes for you. I then spoke to you, Mr. Elner, that following week. You agreed with me. You told me to my face that 0.25% wasn't much money, it wasn't really worth it. You then voted to lower it. I don't know that you guys expect me or anybody in the community to trust you, but I found more reasons not to trust several legislators over the last year, current sitting legislators, that I'm quite frankly very disappointed. So, should I move back upstate where I'm from, where property taxes are significantly less, I can run my farm at a quarter of the cost, come and sell to everybody down here and make 10 times more profit? I don't know, it's looking better and better every day. But I'd rather be part of the community that I'm in, even though some people in the town of Southeast don't seem to want me there. So, I don't know, I guess it comes back to it is, we all sit here and we hear where you're gonna vote. You make comments on both sides, oh, it's not a lot of money, yeah, it doesn't make sense. You're using examples of people buying high-end dollar amount stuff that, I'm sorry, if that's the choice they're making and they can't afford that extra $200 because of that 0.25%, then maybe the county has a way to provide its citizens financial literacy. I don't know, I mean, if it's between spending $80,000 and an extra $200 on a vehicle, or it's spending $200 on feeding my family of 7, I'm gonna forego the $80,000 vehicle, buy the $20,000 one that I just did to fit everybody, so that way I have more money in my pocket. And like I said, I mean, I'm spending more money on farming and trying to raise food for the people of Putnam in northern Westchester County. And I just keep getting kicked every time I'm up here and I get ignored. I really feel like, unfortunately, and again, I hear stuff that you say here, I hear stuff you say to me outside of here. I'm very disappointed in the legislative team here, and I hope you guys just make a better decision. And I do think that the sharing of the taxes is included in this consideration for the reduction, because it is almost one and the same, because you lower it, then you lower the amount. And again, we bring more to the towns, give more to the towns, we need more money coming in on the county level. I don't know, there's Fortune 500 companies out there that seem to be cutting people with funds and stuff very similar. You guys are a company. I just don't know that we're making the right financial decisions. I mean, there's been several comments, not just tonight, but when I watched the meeting on April 1st about legislators wanting to keep it at the 4% because they have other things they want to spend it on. Legislator Sage, you're the one who stated that. You made a comment that there was people who wanted to spend the money on other things.
Roll tape.
Yeah, that's why we just, no, I'm just saying, but you know, yeah, those things stick out, and you know, but what are those things? You made several great comments that night, but you didn't come to the table with, you know, where's the overspending, which, again, you guys are saying curtail spending, but where's the overspending? You're not overspending if you got 143, 90 million, whatever the number is, sitting in the bank, so. That's all I got, I think. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi
there, how are you?
Farrell, the council member from the town of Phillipstown, and I support our town supervisor and the villages, the mayors of Cold Spring and Nelsonville in their compromise on this sales tax revenue sharing, which is really important. There are a lot of needs in our town and in our villages that money would make a huge difference. And this evening we heard from many of the legislators how concerned you are about giving that quarter back to the people. But all of the towns and villages here tonight, and all of us here tonight, represent the people. So I would urge you, thank you for this session, but listen to the people, because we're all speaking on behalf of the people in our towns and villages, and this would mean so much more to them than the quarter that they might get back, or that a non-resident of Putnam County might get back. It's really relief that has been discussed for years, and this is a unique and historic opportunity to give us that relief. So I urge you to do that as expeditiously as possibly can, because there will be cuts coming, no doubt, to all the funding and grants that our counties receive in the next few months and years, and this money will come in handy to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi all, John Mosick. I am a citizen. I was appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission over a decade ago in Phillipstown. I do want to advocate for the continuation of the sales tax that we have in place, and I know that's not necessarily up for consideration tonight, but I do want to bring up a couple of points and make a statement about this. I know how important this would be for the county to share the surplus sales tax revenue to improve the infrastructure. An example of this is really where I've been focused on for the past decade is around the Parks and Recreational Facility in Phillipstown, where we have a rec center that was donated to us that we have to continually make improvements to. We haven't been able to make really any substantial improvements to that with the funds that we have based on our tax base, and we would really appreciate the ability to share that revenue with the towns. The Recreation Department has not had those resources. It's the same building that the county every day during COVID identified with the Red Cross to be used as a shelter. So the entire county was using this facility. We could use the funds to make the improvements to then better the entire community and the entire county of Putnam. And this can only be possible if you extend this increase in sales tax revenue. So I do want to make sure that sharing it's important as a citizen, but also having seen the effect and how recreation and parks fits in and our lack of revenues throughout the town, really want to make sure that you are considering that as part of the overall picture as a citizen. And the majority of citizens within Phillipstown that I've spoken with really want this extension to continue. And I thank you for your time and ability to chat today. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say something? I don't want to interrupt. I just want to say one quick thing.
Go ahead.
Just so everybody is aware, Monday, April 28th, on the Audit Administration and Committee meeting, if you look on the agenda, which is going to be out, you could see it, it's on online right now. Number 20, discussion/approval to establish a county fund balance surplus sharing program with the towns and villages of Putnam County. So this will be on the agenda. So I don't think anybody here, I don't know if anybody was aware of that. Just wanted to mention that.
My name is Pat Sheehy. I'm a resident of the hamlet of Carmel, and I've made a pretty consistent habit of attending legislative meetings long before any of you were legislators, way back in the early 80s. And I saw you're a student. But I want to say, and Dan, you remember back, I guess it was in 2007 or whatever, when they tried to raise this county sales tax so that it would be more equivalent to surrounding areas. It took years to get that raise in the sales tax. And the reason for that is that the governor and the state legislators don't like to raise sales tax. But I will guarantee you, if a vote went up to them to decrease the sales tax by about 0.25%, they would approve it real quickly because they like to decrease the sales taxes. It makes them look good. And by all proposals going on here, if you reduce the sales tax by 0.25%, you'll be reducing the revenue by approximately $5.3 million, okay? And it's going to fluctuate from year to years. If we find ourselves, and it's a very volatile economy right now, if we find ourselves in a situation where that reduction becomes much greater, and then you want to go back and say, oh, let's raise that 0.25% back or more, it's going to be very difficult to get the state legislature and the governor to agree with that. So I can't for the life of me understand why there's this sort of consistent push this year to reduce it by 0.25%. And by the way, Amy, I want to say it. I want to say thank you for allowing us to speak to. I didn't want to forget to.
Absolutely.
So I can't really figure out why there seems to be such a push to do that. And when I hear, you know, Mr. Yankees, and I believe it's a sincere concern for people who are on hard times, but saying that, you know, this will give money back to the, I'll say the poor. But, you know, if we're saying that it's going to save approximately $25 a year a person, that's like 48 cents a week, you know, and not to be insensitive to the poor, but that's not going to make their life more pleasant. And for many, many years, I actually have asked for revenue sharing. Particularly, my interest has always been with the water and sewer district here in the hamlet. And my belief is that it is those special districts that actually support the revenue coming in. Because without the water and the sewer districts like we have here in Hamlet Carmel, we wouldn't be able to have the restaurants, the gyms, the hairdressers, the hospital, the pharmaceutical plant. and that. So the property owners are paying to support, the property owners are paying to support the infrastructure that brings in that revenue. And that revenue creates this $90 million surplus here in the county, which, I hate to say it, but you guys are hoarding our money. And you would be much, or it would be a much better service to us if that money were returned or at least shared with the taxpayers who are paying for the special districts and the infrastructure that keeps those things going. So I would really call on you to reconsider that and to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be very brief, I promise. My name is Stacy Tompkins. I'm on the town board in Putnam Valley. I just have 2 comments, and thank you for bringing that you were going to talk about shared on Monday, but you're kind of putting this vote before what we might know what would be on Monday. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit out of order from where I'm sitting. And I like what you said, Aaron, about, for the people, and we represent the people. We had a town board a meeting last week, and we were proposing a local law that a lot of citizens came out and they were really unhappy about, and we decided that we really need to reconsider that. So we all can be reconsidered, we all can change our minds, and we really all can listen to the people. Thank you.
So hi, I'm Ned Rouch. I live over in Garrison, the town of Phillipstown, and I want to invite you all to come over to our end of the county on a sunny Saturday or Sunday and see all these wonderful people who come up from wherever, and they're walking up and down our streets, and they are to be prized and valued for their personal individuality, yes, but also because they shop and they spend a lot of money at our end of the county on those days, and their doing so helps all of us, right? And reducing the sales tax reduces the amount that they can contribute to our well-being here. And so I would like you to think about that, keep that in mind, and yes, come on over. It's a good time over in our side of the county. Thank you very much.
I'm Kathleen Foley, I'm the mayor in Cold Spring.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for always coming.
Thank you for recognizing and giving us an opportunity to speak, Madam Chair. It's not just beautiful, it's really expensive, having all those tourists. And just for perspective, the floor on this compromise that is actually part of the agenda tonight because it's in your backup for your agenda, for the item on
Veto.
Yeah, so it's in the backup.
Yep, it's in the veto,
Part
right.
of our conversation tonight. It's integral in your decision making about attempting to override the veto. But $50,000 as a floor is what your tourism office has for the majority of its budget. So you all promote us heartily. You pay for an employee, now 2, to promote us. The amount that we're talking about getting back is what you pay for advertisements to bring from people outside of the county as part of the New York, I Love New York campaign, advertising campaign. So perspective. I'm really glad to hear you're talking about this on Monday. I think it's kind of, frankly, cowardly to talk about it on Monday and not have it on your agenda tonight when we're here. We'll be back. It's easy drive, no problem. But that you would have a counter offer to share, I'm very eager to hear. I hope it's better than what we've got on the table right now, because I'm going to be honest, everybody's saying thank you to you all for considering 1/9 of 1%. It's actually a population calculation by the town, the 9 municipalities, 6 towns, 3 villages by population. For Cold Spring, that comes down to about $50,000 in the end. Like, what am I going to do with that? I'm going to pay for garbage cleanup that you've never been interested in being part of before. That's probably about as far as it's gonna stretch. The amount of money that we're talking about here is embarrassing. That we're sitting here begging you to share, that it comes down to $50,000, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. $90,000, $134,000. In my budget, New York state law doesn't allow me to hoard money. I can't have saved more than X percentage of my overall budget. How do you get to those numbers under the law? I don't know how you can do it. You're sitting on in my village, if I'm sitting on general fund that I'm not spending, it means things aren't being fixed. Projects aren't being done. We're catching up on years and years of deferred maintenance. What have you not done with however many tens or hundreds of millions of dollars you're sitting on? And expecting us to be grateful for tiny amounts. I mean, I am. I'll take it. I can use the 50,000. But this is really just like small peanuts in the scale of what you manage. County roads need to be fixed. Our health department is shameful. Have you walked in that building lately and seen the conditions in which those people work? Social services, mental health, spend the damn money. That's what it's for. It's for making people's lives better. It's not for your bond rating. Spend it, make it better, and give it to us because we know what we need. You don't know our communities. You think you do. You've been at these desks a very long time. So come home, walk around, meet with your supervisors and your mayors, see what's actually going on the ground, and see how much we do with so little. And I hope on Monday, whoever, are you the one sponsoring the legislation on Monday? Yeah. Who's sponsoring it, may I ask?
It's on the,
Fantastic, thank you. I hope you are much more generous. We got where we are because the county executive was willing to sit with us and have an actual conversation. And why did we have to sit with him? Because for years we've come over here and asked and got nothing, and got nothing, and got nothing, and got nothing, until we got $5 million through the one Share the Growth instance in 2022 that had so many compliance issues related to it. It was a pain for all of you. It was a huge staff sacrifice on the county's part. It was almost impossible for us to comply with, as the supervisor knows from Phillipstown. You've done it before. Please do it again, but please do it in a meaningful way. And I would ask you if you would consider tonight, while we're all here assembled, Chairwoman, if you would give us a preview of what you expect to discuss on Monday night, so that we understand that you're taking us seriously. Because right now, begging around over $2.5 million doesn't sound like you're taking us seriously at all. I do want to read my letter into the record, and then I'll sit down and be quiet. You have a tremendous opportunity before you tonight. You can be part of an unprecedented and expansive collaboration among different levels of government, different municipalities, and across party lines. You can bring relief to local government budgets, putting tax dollars to work directly and meaningfully for our shared constituents. You can be part of completing infrastructure projects that make a difference in taxpayers' quality of life and their safety. You can demonstrate that government can work and that it can do good for communities. You can restore faith that the county legislature prioritizes the needs of voters and taxpayers above political scrimmaging. Please take this opportunity. Do the right thing. Vote to retain county sales tax at 4%. By the way, if this override fails tonight, I think I'm correct that we go back to 3%, right? We're not just
correct.
yeah.
I was waiting for somebody
So
to
we're
bring
all
up.
going to be back to actually worse condition than we started.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So whatever you end up with, whether it's 3%, 4%, just share it where it works.
Welcome. How are you?
Howard, I'm.
Please sign in and
Yes, I'm from the town of Putnam Valley, but I'm actually Miss for Nick Durante from the town of Southeast. So this is his words. I would like to clarify that my absence tonight, as well as last week's conference, was due to pre-scheduled commitments made weeks in advance of these dates. Additionally, I have not contributed significantly to this matter, as I am still trying to comprehend the process and evaluate advantages and disadvantages of a sales tax versus a property tax reduction, and what option would benefit residents more. I have not heard any concrete figures, and I understand it is particularly challenging to estimate revenues accurately with sales tax. On the other hand, a property tax reduction offers a much greater likelihood of a more concrete figure. Part of the issue, as I see it, is that this argument can continue endlessly, and any bitterness toward another representative that arises further closes minds of those tasked with making this decision. Therefore, my opinion is that everyone involved refrains from being closed-minded and set aside personal feelings regardless of past grievances. Residents are not concerned with the personal disputes. The constituents you represent care about what is best for them, their families, and neighbors. They entrusted us with these positions to have their best interests in mind, and when decisions must be made, open-mindedness and respect for each other are essential. I support the stance of my fellow supervisors and the county executive in maintaining the current tax rate while reducing property taxes for county residents. As we are all aware, our budgets are under strain and often operate with limited staffing. Therefore, any sales tax sharing assistance from the county for projects within our towns is highly appreciated. Sincerely, Nick Durante.
Good evening, everybody. Christian Russo, Town of Putnam Valley. I'm also just here to read a letter that I have here from Mayor Schoenig, Village of Brewster. This was dated April 23rd to the Putnam County Legislature. Dear Putnam County Legislature, I am writing to support allocating sales tax revenue directly to the Putnam County villages and towns that support this region. It's becoming increasingly difficult to stay under the New York State tax cap. These funds will help Putnam County communities to struggle to fund their budgets and ease the burden of delivering essential services for our residents. Infrastructure projects, improvements in parks, and public safety, among others. The tangible benefits to residents of the Village of Brewster are numerous and wide-ranging, helping to offset the rising costs of utilities, unfunded mandates, pensions, and insurance rates. While I understand the proposal to reduce the sales tax for county residents, which is currently under consideration, I am concerned that reinstating the tax in the future could prove difficult should the need arise. In addition, although a tax cut may appear advantageous for residents, shoppers from neighboring counties also frequent businesses in Putnam County. Consequently, these outside consumers will also benefit from the reduced tax rate, potentially diminishing the overall advantage for Putnam County residents. I urge you to consider this proposal. I am confident that distributing sales tax revenue to villages and towns will benefit all residents and contribute to a stronger and more prosperous Putnam County. Sincerely, James Schoenig.
Good evening, I'm Jamie McGlass, I'm the supervisor from the town of Kent. I sent a letter in earlier and I didn't know we'd be able to speak, so I'm just going to read my letter into the record tonight. On behalf of the town of Kent, we urge you to support a fair and proven solution, maintain the current sales tax rate, and return a portion of that revenue to local governments like ours. Due to a small commercial tax base, Kent does not have large reserves. Our town relies almost entirely on property taxes, which place a heavy burden on our residents. Within this funding, essential projects such as repaving our roads, updates to our parks, and supporting our newly formed emergency services department will either go undone or require significant increases in taxes for our residents. Sharing sales tax revenue is simply fair. It ensures that funds raised in Kent stay in Kent, directly benefiting the people who live here. Many of you have previously supported both property tax relief and sales tax revenue sharing. This proposal aligns with those principles and has the full backing of Kent and all 9 elected town and village leaders across Putnam County. Now it's time to act. We strongly urge you to pass the proposed signed and supported by every town supervisor and village mayor in Putnam County. Stand with your towns and support local tax relief. Together, let's build a stronger and more affordable future for Putnam County. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Jake D'Angelo, Town of Carmel. I'm here tonight because I listened carefully to the press conference held by our town supervisors and village mayors, and I've also read their joint letter. Their message was thoughtful, unified, which seems to be foreign speak in this room, and it was rooted in common sense. Preserve the existing county sales tax rate and finally give our towns and villages their fair share. This proposal delivers real relief. Over $2 million in direct local support. Not in new taxes, not in empty promises, just long overdue fairness and fiscal responsibility. Obviously, some of you in here think you know better, and the public is starting to notice. We remember the broken promises, we remember the doublespeak, and we certainly remember that Mr. Legislator Elner didn't even know what a cost of living adjustment was, what a COLA was, but now we're supposed to trust him over the county's finance commissioner, over the voices of every mayor and supervisor in this county who signed on to this plan. This isn't just arrogant, it's dangerous. Rejecting this plan is not a principled stand by any means. It's playing politics with people's livelihood. And if you do veto this tonight, the public will know exactly who to blame. They'll know who's putting their future at risk just to support, just to score cheap political points, and they will hold you accountable. All right, thank you.
Thank you. So each of you who had a letter to read tonight, if you could please send those to putcoleg@putnamcountyny.gov so that we have a record of your letters. We want to make sure that we have all your public comment in our legislative emails. Anyone else from the public wishing to comment?
If there's no one else, I would just like to go over the mechanics of the resolution that we have before us tonight. And I want to echo a certain amount of what Mayor Foley said, but only a certain amount, is that she's absolutely right. If this fails tonight, and I do believe the vote to override will fail tonight, just counting the noses, as I think everybody else can, what that will happen is for this vote, and this is a two-step process, let's keep in mind. Typically, the way this happens is there's a vote like tonight, or actually a vote that was taking place earlier this month, where the county government, both its legislature and executive, request our state representatives to, in this case, extend or lower the additional 1% or portion thereof. And that, if they're in agreement, that gets sent up to Albany, and then a bill number in both houses, the Senate and the Assembly, and a bill are created. Then, according to Article 9 of the state constitution, which is the local government's home rule section, then both of those state resolutions come back to the county legislature for consideration. Those aren't before us tonight. We don't have them. I do understand that there is a Senate bill by Senator Harcum that is before the state Senate. It was introduced 2 days ago. It has not received any committee action. As of about 5 o'clock this evening, there has not been a companion bill in the Assembly. So what I predict is going to happen is that this vote will fail tonight, and I predict we will be sent those bills regardless. And at that point, the more meaningful vote will take place. And there we will have an up or down vote on, and by the way, the Senate bill is for the full 1%. And at that point, we will have the opportunity to only, I believe, vote up or down on that. We're not state legislators, we can't amend state legislation, so that will come before us, I would suspect, at some point in the future. So that's just the mechanics, Madam Chair, and the resolution before us tonight, and I'm not trying to cut any of my colleagues off, I just want to state the resolve clause here because it hasn't been stated yet, just so everybody's aware. Resolved that the county executive's veto of resolution number 108, 2025, to establish the county sales tax rate of 3.75 for the period of December 1, 2025 through November 30th, 2028, after legislative reconsideration is hereby overridden. And that's all happened until we vote, Madam Chair. I just want to explain the process and essentially just say stay tuned. There'll be more to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
The chair?
I think,
Chair?
okay.
I want to make a motion to table. I would like to make a motion to table.
Well, we're not
This
even
agenda?
talking about, right now, we're talking about number 5, which is overriding the veto that was before us. So that's where we're voting on, agenda item number 5. Legislator Crowell.
I just wanted to comment on Legislator Birmingham. Yes, there is a bill in the Senate, and there's also an inclusion in that bill that does discuss sharing the sales tax revenue with the towns.
Not the bill I read. The bill I read merely struck out the words 2025 and replaced it with 2027. I believe it's Senate Bill 7540. I could be wrong in the number, but
There's an inclusionary part where they're joined together.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to call the question on agenda item number 5, the reconsideration of the veto. This is a reconsideration of veto resolution 108 of 2025, Putnam County's request for the county sales tax rate is to be established at a rate of 3.75% for a period from December 1st, 2025 through November 30th, 2028. This is a vote to override the veto of the county executive. So with that, I will ask for a roll call vote, please, to override the veto.
Legislator Agnizio?
Just so the public.
Had something to say.
Oh, yeah, no, I just want the public to be aware that what we are voting on right now is to override the veto. It's not
So
the
it's a
approval.
yes to override, a no.
Just so they know, it's not the approval
Right.
of the reduction, just so
Right.
everybody knows this. Okay.
So,
Yes.
roll call vote.
It's not, no, it's not. Yes.
Agenda item number 5 is reconsideration of the
That's
veto. So the county executive has vetoed the 3.75%, and we're voting yes to override or no, not to override the county executive's veto.
Legislator Birmingham?
yes to override.
Legislator Crowley?
No.
Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Gouldman?
No.
Legislator Yonke?
Yes.
Legislator Russo?
No.
Chairwoman Sage?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay, now we're moving on to agenda item number 6, which is.
I would like to make a motion to table item 6.
Second.
We have a resolution, we have a motion to table and a second to table agenda item number 6. Is there any
That's for the
discussion?
approval, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah, just so
We're
everybody.
tabling the approval, number 6,
Yeah,
just so
the-
everybody's aware.
If I could just recapitulate what item 6 is. Item 6 is a resolution to go to 0.75, not for a period of 3 years, but for a period of 2 years. It's a different resolution that was vetoed by the county executive. However, there's been a motion to table that resolution. I do believe there's probably votes to table it.
There's a second.
And there's a
We have
second.
first.
I'll be voting to table for a technical reason. I believe we have a clerk issue, so we need the clerk to sign this resolution in procedural. It's procedural. So I believe it's going to be tabled. Thanks.
Any further discussion on tabling?
Just, as Dan pointed out, we have a clerk issue, just so everybody understands. The clerk is away, and this would have to be turned around in 3 days, and there's no way to get her signature. We don't believe there's a way to get her signature on it quick enough to get it back and delivered to the county executive. So we'd like to table it, to move it on to another short-term table, maybe
Table
even
to
at
the fall?
the full.
I'm away for the
Is that
full.
acceptable?
The table till
Okay.
Monday?
I'm away for the full. Can we table till Monday?
The special full?
The special full?
So we have 2 special polls? I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
sure.
we had a special full
Is our
tonight.
legislative council here?
Let's
Do we have
just,
council?
can we
Wait,
just
Amy.
table it?
We'll table it.
We'll figure it
wait.
out, we'll figure out the
Can we
date.
figure out when we're tabling it too? Because I want to vote for.
We don't know yet.
Fairness, we should make sure everybody's here.
Yes, that's what
Monday
I
won't be enough time.
request through the chair.
Okay, through our clerk here this evening, Monday will not be enough time.
Okay, so
So, and you're not here for the
Later
full.
later
I-
next week?
I leave on the 6th, I come back the 13th. So that's why,
But later next week is.
yes, I can do
I'm
later
sorry,
next
Linda.
week, yes. I just want to
I'm
make
okay
sure
with it.
that if I'm going to agree to it, that I'm here.
Okay,
I
so
vote
we will
appropriate.
schedule a special full when all the legislators can be here, and we'll do this again. Legislator Goldman.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I'm glad you said that, because tonight's special full, the legislator's not here because she's had a long-standing vacation. So it should not have been scheduled for today. It should have been on a date when Nancy Montgomery was able to
I wasn't aware of
be here.
that.
Well, the clerk was aware of that, because the clerk called every individual and said, are you okay with the meeting? Did you get a phone call asking if it was okay for the meeting?
I scheduled the meeting, so, no, I didn't get a phone call, I scheduled it.
Did everyone else get a phone
But
call?
I appreciate
I
that,
got a phone
Legislator
call.
Goulden,
Maybe it was
yeah, that we have that resolved and she
It
can.
wasn't
be here,
resolved, and I'm
hopefully.
glad that
We'll vote that.
it's being
Motion to table.
We have a
tabled,
motion
and
to
everyone
table.
will be here at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a roll call vote to table this item.
Legislator Adenizio?
Yes.
Legislator Birmingham?
Yes.
Legislator Crowley?
With the provision that you are going to uphold the fact that all legislators will be present, yes.
Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Gouldman?
Yes.
Legislator Yonke?
Yes.
Legislator Russo?
Yes.
Chairwoman Sage?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 7. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.